Now the RG556 and the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro are two of the best retro handhelds to have come out in 2024. And they're both consoles which are getting so much closer to that perfect retro gaming handheld that I'm after. A console that can easily emulate GameCube and PS2 games. But picking which is the best between the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro and the RG556 is actually a lot harder than it sounds, and I have swapped my mind over the past 3 months between the two, but now I'm confident I know which one is the best in my opinion. The Retroid Pocket 4 came out as the expected sequel to the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, but what Retroid did slightly differently this time was they brought out two consoles, a Retroid Pocket 4 and a Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. For me personally, the Retroid Pocket 4 is kind of pointless. You do save a bit of money on it, but I think the extra effort you're going to be putting in trying to tweak the settings to get the best out of the games, you're far better off paying a little bit extra and getting the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. And the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is an absolutely superb console. I love the thing, and it is so close to that perfection that I want in GameCube and PS2 emulation. The build quality, the design, the controls, everything about the Retroid Pocket 4 is a huge improvement over the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. And really, I think the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro sets the standard now for handheld gaming consoles, not just retro handheld gaming consoles, but handheld gaming consoles that fit in that size and price range. The analog sticks, the analog triggers, the screen, everything about it. I honestly think Nintendo could learn a few things. But currently, the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, I think, at its price range and size, is the best example of controls and quality of design right now. Of course, we could start saying the Odin 2 does things better, but that's in a completely different price bracket. At this mid to high range price, which I'd still kind of class as mid, and for the size of the console, the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro does things amazingly. The analog sticks, the analog triggers, like I say, are just wonderful to use. Now, before everybody starts jumping into the comments, I do know there have been some quality control issues. I do know some people have had problems with the analog triggers and some other things as well, but I can only speak from my perspective. And over the past 4 months of using the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, I've had no issues whatsoever. But then the RG556 comes along and decides to do things a little bit differently. Different processor, different ergonomics, and slightly different controls as well. Now, the 556 does some things better than the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, and some things not quite as good. First of all, the things that may be not quite as good is that I don't think it's as powerful under the hood as the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, but we'll get into that a bit more in a bit. Furthermore, the analog sticks, although could be as good as the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, I think their movement is a little bit limited by the design of the console. It feels like it hits the edges a bit too soon, so when you go from the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro to the 556, it feels like the range of motion just isn't quite there. Other than that though, the rest of the controls, including the analog triggers, are absolutely fantastic. But where the 556 starts to stand out above the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro are the ergonomics and the screen. The console is just fantastic to hold. It's such a nice natural fit in your hands. And I would even go so far as to say that people that don't like handheld consoles and prefer to use a standard controller would be very comfortable with the 556 because it's designed like a big controller. Furthermore, the OLED screen is just absolutely stunning, and it's one of the best screens you're going to get on a retro handheld device. The RG556 truly is a gorgeous console to hold and play. It feels really nice in your hands, it fits really nice for long play sessions, and it just looks fantastic as well. However, some people, myself included, would say that the plastic feels a little bit tackier than the plastic on a Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. It feels a little bit thinner, but not everybody shares that opinion. Now, in my initial comparisons in my earlier videos, it did feel like the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro had a lot more grunt than the 556. It definitely felt like you had to tweak the settings a lot more on the 556, whereas the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, especially when we're talking about PS2 games, handled most games without much interference. But over time, and as I tested them more and started doing some 1 week challenges with them, I have to say the differences between the two started to diminish. I think my initial experience with the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro and jumping straight off the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus was a little bit exaggerated. It felt like this console was maybe a bit better than it is at PS2 emulation. Going from the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus to the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro was such a huge leap, and it was so nice to get so much better performance out of those games. However, months of use in comparing the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro to the RG556, I've come across equal amounts of difficulty emulating PS2 games as I have the 556. Now, I do think the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro does eke it out. There are definitely a few more games where it's easier to emulate them, but I think that category of games is a lot smaller than I initially expected or I initially assumed it was. Over the week-long challenges for the RG556 and the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, I struggled similarly with most games, and this was quite a surprise. So whereas the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro was initially my favorite console, I started to move over to the 556. I was picking up the 556 more regularly than I was the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, especially when it came to things like playing Minecraft Minecraft with my kids. The RG556 handles Minecraft with no issues, whereas the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro has a bit of an issue with double placing blocks or double smashing blocks. It's something to do with the input being registered as an analog instead of digital. I do believe now there are solutions to that, but at the time I didn't know them, and the 556 was definitely the console of choice for me for a while. The ergonomics and the screen as well were really nice to use. Picking up the RG556 is always a pleasure, and it's always a great gaming experience. However, shortly after that, and around about the time we started traveling more for summer, I started to notice the 556 was getting left to the side a lot, and the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro was being picked up a lot more often. And honestly, over the past couple of months, I've definitely picked up the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro way more times than I have the 556. And I think it's just an easier console to be able to pick up and have around with you all the time. Yes, the 556 has the better ergonomics, but those ergonomics do get in the way and make it feel a bit bulkier. And then I found the solution to the ergonomics as well, and I got the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro grip, which makes it as ergonomic as the 556 does when I have it on. Being able to have this option with Retroid Pocket 4 Pro and slide it in my pocket just makes it much more convenient to carry around. Furthermore, the analog controls on the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro are just fantastic, like I said before. And for racing games and a lot of games that use analog sticks, the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is a big improvement over the 556. And when it comes to playing a console like the 556 or the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, it's usually going to be games that do use analog sticks that I play on those consoles. If I'm going to play older games, I'm probably not going to use the 556 or the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro for that. I'll probably use one of my Anbernic XX consoles. So in all honesty, it is still quite difficult to pick between the two. But if I had to put my money on one, or let's put it this way, if I had to give up one of the two, if I had to give up the 556 or the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, I'd have to give up the 556, because I feel like the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro does everything the 556 does, and it does it in a more convenient way as well. Being able to carry it around easier definitely makes a difference for me in a handheld console. And where the 556 does shine in terms of the ergonomics and the OLED screen, well, the ergonomics, we can sort that out with a grip for the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. And the OLED screen, as amazing as it is, the screen on the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is so good that when I'm playing it, I never once missed the OLED screen. Yes, the OLED screen's better, but it's not like it's that much better that I missed it when I wasn't using it. Now, I know it's going to be very divisive. There's going to be a lot of opinions about this, and there's going to be people that sit on both sides of the fence. And honestly, you can't go wrong with either one of these consoles. They're both fantastic. I think either one you get, you're going to be really happy with. But for me personally, the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is my favorite between the two. So literally last night, I was using my Retroid Pocket 4 Pro after editing the video, and this happened. So obviously this is what the triggers are meant to be like, not this. Which means the spring's gone. And this is one of the common faults with the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, but Retroid have put out a 2-year warranty on the triggers. So I've reached out to them. They should replace them for free, send them to me, no extra charge. Obviously I have to replace them for myself. I'll let you know how that goes. You might end up seeing another video, the 556 versus the RP4 Pro, with a different answer, because up until this point this was my favorite, and now we'll have to see. If you want to see how the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro fared over the period of a week where it was my exclusive console, check out this video right here.